My son made me sell my house. I bought the one next door. Hi everyone! Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together, we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. Power is a strange thing. Most people think it's about control, about making others bend to your will. But real power is quieter than that. It's the ability to be fair when fairness costs you something. It's the strength to do what's right, even when it breaks your heart. My name is Victoria Hayes. I am 58 years old, and I built an empire with my bare hands. This is the story of how I fired my daughter-in-law at my own anniversary party and why it was the most difficult and necessary thing I've ever done. I started Hayes Consulting 25 years ago with $5,000, a laptop, and a dream that everyone told me was foolish. A middle-aged woman with no business degree trying to break into corporate consulting? I'd be eaten alive, they said. They were wrong. I worked 18-hour days that first year. I cold-called companies until my voice went hoarse. I showed up to meetings in department store suits I couldn't afford, carrying a confidence I didn't feel, selling a vision I was still building in real time. The first client almost didn't happen, a manufacturing company with declining productivity, run by a skeptical CEO who looked at me like I was selling snake oil. "What makes you think you can fix our problems?" he asked. "Because I listen," I said. "Most consultants come in with a one-size-fits-all solution. I come in with questions. And I don't leave until I understand your business better than you do." He hired me for 3 months. I stayed for 2 years, restructured their entire operation, and increased their profit margin by 40%. They became my first success story, my proof of concept. Word spread. One client became 5, became 20, became a firm with actual employees and office space, and a reputation that preceded me. Hayes Consulting became synonymous with results, with integrity, with a kind of work ethic that couldn't be taught, but could be modeled. I was ruthless about standards. Excellence wasn't optional, it was the baseline. I didn't care if you had an Ivy League MBA or a community college certificate. I cared if you worked hard, treated people with respect, and delivered results. My husband Richard supported me through all of it. He managed the home front while I built the business, never complained about the late nights or the weekends I spent at the office. He believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. We had one son, Marcus. He grew up watching me build something from nothing, seeing his mother refuse to quit even when things got hard. I hoped I was teaching him about perseverance, about integrity, about the value of honest work. I thought I succeeded. Richard died 8 years ago. Heart attack, sudden and merciless. I threw myself into the business even harder after that, turning grief into fuel, building his legacy alongside mine. And the business thrived. By the time Marcus graduated from business school, Hayes Consulting employed 50 people, had offices in 3 cities, and was bringing in 8 figures annually. I was proud. Proud of what I'd built, proud of the lives I'd changed, proud of the example I'd set for my son. That pride would cost me more than I ever imagined. Marcus met Sophia at a networking event. She was young, beautiful, ambitious. A marketing coordinator at a tech startup with an impressive resume, and even more impressive confidence. When he brought her to dinner for the first time, she charmed me immediately. She asked intelligent questions about the business, spoke passionately about her own career goals, and seemed genuinely interested in our family history. "Your story is incredible, Victoria," she said over coffee. "Building a business from scratch, especially as a woman in that era? You're exactly the kind of role model I aspire to be." I should have heard the calculation in that statement, should have noticed how carefully she positioned herself. But I was lonely after Richard's death, hungry for connection, and Marcus was so clearly in love. They married a year later. It was a beautiful wedding, elegant, expensive, everything Sophia wanted. I paid for half of it and didn't complain about the cost. This was my son's happiness. This was family. At the reception, Sophia pulled me aside. "Victoria, I have a favor to ask." "Of course, dear. I know I'm just starting my career, but I've been thinking, Hayes Consulting is a family business, right? And now I'm family. I'd love the opportunity to be part of what you've built, to learn from you, to contribute." I hesitated. Hiring family was always risky. Personal and professional boundaries blurred. Conflicts at work followed you home. I'd seen other business owners struggle with it, but Sophia looked so earnest, so hopeful, and Marcus was watching us with such pride in his eyes. "Let me think about it," I said. She hugged me. "Thank you for even considering it. I promise, if you give me a chance, I won't let you down." 3 months later, I hired her as a junior marketing consultant. It was the biggest mistake of my professional life. The first year, Sophia started strong. She was punctual, enthusiastic, eager to learn. She shadowed senior consultants, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely committed to understanding our culture and values. Marcus was thrilled. "Mom, thank you for giving her this opportunity. It means the world to both of us." "She's earning it," I said. "She's doing good work." And she was. For the first 6 months, Sophia exceeded expectations. She landed a mid-sized client on her own, developed a social media strategy that increased our visibility, and integrated well with the team. I started to think I'd worried for nothing. Maybe family and business could coexist. Maybe Sophia was the exception to every cautionary tale I'd heard. Then things began to shift. It started small. Comments to other employees about being practically Victoria's daughter, reminders that she was family whenever anyone questioned her decisions. A certain entitlement crept into her tone, a presumption of authority she hadn't earned. Sarah, one of my senior consultants, came to my office one afternoon, looking uncomfortable. "Victoria, can I speak with you privately?" "Of course. What's wrong?" "It's Sophia. She's been overstepping. On the Meridian account, she countermanded my directive to the client without consulting me. When I asked her about it, she said, 'I don't need permission. I'm family.'" My stomach dropped. "I see. I don't want to cause trouble, especially given her relationship to you and Marcus, but it's becoming a pattern, and it's undermining team cohesion." "Thank you for telling me. I'll address it." I pulled Sophia aside that same day. "We need to talk about professional boundaries." She smiled. "Of course. What's up?" "Sarah mentioned that you overrode her decision on the Meridian account without consultation." Her smile didn't waver. "Oh, that! I saw an opportunity and took it. Sarah was being too cautious." The client responded well. "That's not the point. Sarah is the lead on that account. You work under her direction. If you disagree with a strategy, you discuss it with her, not circumvent her authority." "Victoria, I'm not trying to cause problems. I'm just trying to help the company grow. Isn't that what you want? I want respect for our team structure. I want you to follow the same rules everyone else follows." Her expression cooled slightly. "Even though I'm family?" "Especially because you're family. You don't get special treatment, Sophia. You get held to the same standard as everyone else." She left my office with a tight smile and a posture that radiated resentment. That was the first warning sign. I ignored it. The descent over the next year, Sophia's behavior deteriorated. The entitlement that had been occasional became constant. The charm she'd shown initially disappeared, replaced by a sharp-edged arrogance that set everyone on edge. I started hearing complaints. Lots of them. Tom, from accounting. Sophia submitted her expense reports late again, and when I asked her to follow protocol, she said, "Take it up with Victoria if you have a problem." Jennifer, from HR. She's been coming in late, leaving early, and taking extended lunches. When I mentioned our attendance policy, she laughed and said, "What are you going to do, fire the boss's daughter-in-law?" David, our senior consultant. She's rude to junior staff. I've heard her snap at assistants, dismiss ideas without listening, and generally treat people beneath her position like they're beneath her as human beings. Each complaint was like a stone in my chest. I'd brought this person into my company. I'd vouched for her. And now she was poisoning the culture I'd spent 25 years building. I tried to address it. I had multiple conversations with Sophia about professional conduct, about treating colleagues with respect, about earning rather than demanding authority. Each time she'd apologize. "You're right, Victoria. I've been under a lot of stress. I'll do better." But she never did. And each time I confronted her, she'd go home and cry to Marcus about how his mother was singling her out, treating her unfairly, making her job impossible. Marcus would call me. "Mom, why are you being so hard on Sophia?" "I'm not being hard on her. I'm holding her to the same standard as everyone else. She says you criticize everything she does, that you're trying to push her out. That's not true, Marcus. I'm trying to help her succeed, but she's not willing to follow basic professional norms. Maybe you're just not used to having family in the business. Maybe you need to be more flexible." "Flexible? Marcus, she's coming in late, leaving early, and treating people with contempt. Would you accept that from any other employee?" "She's not any other employee. She's my wife." "Exactly. Which means she should be setting a better example, not a worse one." These conversations always ended the same way, with Marcus defensive, me frustrated, and nothing resolved. Sophia knew she had a shield, my son, my only child, the person I loved most in the world, who would always take his wife's side over his mother's truth. She exploited it ruthlessly. The breaking point. The incident that forced my hand happened on a Tuesday in March, 3 months before our company's 25th anniversary. I was in my office when I heard raised voices from the conference room. I walked down the hallway and found Sophia berating Emma, one of our junior analysts, in front of 3 other employees. "This is completely unacceptable," Sophia was saying, her voice sharp and cold. "Did you even read the brief? Or were you too busy chatting with your friends to do your actual job?" Emma's face was bright red, tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, You thought wrong. This is amateur work, embarrassing work. If I presented this to a client, they'd laugh us out of the room." "Sophia!" My voice cut through the room like a blade. "My office. Now." She turned, surprised, then collected herself. "Of course. I was just finishing up here." "Now," I repeated. She followed me to my office, her expression carefully neutral. I closed the door and turned to face her. "What was that?" "What was what?" "Don't play games with me. I just watched you humiliate an employee in front of her colleagues. I was providing feedback on substandard work." "That wasn't feedback. That was bullying." She crossed her arms. "Emma needs to learn that mediocrity isn't acceptable. I'm doing her a favor." By shaming her publicly? By attacking her character instead of addressing the work? "I don't need a lecture on management style, Victoria. I know what I'm doing." Clearly you don't. Because what you just did violates every principle this company was built on. We give feedback privately. We address the work, not the person. We build people up. We don't tear them down. That might have worked in 1995, but this is 2025. The business world is competitive. People need thick skin. "People need respect," I said, my voice shaking now. "And if you can't provide that, you don't belong here." Her eyes flashed. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm telling you that your behavior is unacceptable and it needs to change. Immediately." "Or what? You'll fire me? Your own daughter-in-law? Do you have any idea what that would do to your relationship with Marcus?" There it was. The card she'd been holding all along, finally played openly. "I love my son," I said quietly, "but I love this company too. I love the people who work here, who depend on me to maintain a fair and respectful environment, and I won't sacrifice their well-being to protect you from the consequences of your own behavior." She laughed. "You won't do anything. You can't. Marcus would never forgive you, and you know it." She walked out of my office, leaving me standing there, shaking with rage and helplessness. She was right. If I fired her, I'd lose my son. He'd see it as a betrayal, as me choosing the business over his marriage. He'd choose her over me, and I'd be alone. But if I didn't fire her, I'd lose my integrity. I'd lose the respect of my employees. I'd lose the company culture that was worth more than any profit margin. I sat at my desk for a long time, staring at the photo of Richard on my credenza. He'd always known what to do. He'd had a moral clarity I sometimes lacked. "What would you do?" I whispered to his image. But I already knew the answer. The decision I spent the next 3 months documenting everything. Every complaint, every incident, every conversation. I built a case that was ironclad, indisputable, legally sound. I consulted with HR, with our legal team, with trusted advisors. Everyone agreed, Sophia had to go. The only question was how. Firing her would be explosive. Marcus would be furious. There would be family drama, possibly legal action, certainly a rift that might never heal. But keeping her was destroying the company from the inside. Employee morale was at an all-time low. We'd had 3 people quit in the past month, all citing Sophia's behavior as a contributing factor. Clients were starting to notice the tension, the dysfunction. I was losing what I'd spent a quarter-century building, all to protect my relationship with my son. The breaking point came when Emma, the junior analyst Sophia had humiliated, submitted her resignation. "I'm sorry, Victoria," she said, sitting in my office with tears streaming down her face. "I love this company, I love the work, but I can't work in an environment where I'm treated like that anymore. And I know nothing's going to change because she's family." "Emma, please don't go. Let me fix this." "How? You've talked to her. HR has talked to her. Nothing changes. And I can't keep putting myself through this." She left 2 weeks later. A brilliant young woman with enormous potential, driven away by someone who'd been given every advantage and squandered it with entitlement and cruelty. That night, I made my decision. Our company's 25th anniversary gala was scheduled for June 15th, a celebration of everything we'd accomplished, everyone who'd contributed to our success. 200 people, employees, clients, partners, friends, including Sophia. I called my event planner. "I need to add something to the program. During my speech, I'll be handing out envelopes to key staff members. Can you prepare them?" "Of course." "What's going inside?" "Bonuses for most of them. Recognition, appreciation, gratitude. But one will be different." "Different how?" "One will be a termination letter." There was a long pause. "Victoria, are you sure about this?" I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The preparation, I told no one. Not my advisors, not HR, not even my closest friends. The fewer people who knew, the better. I couldn't risk Sophia finding out and preparing a defense, or Marcus intervening before I could act. The envelopes were prepared with meticulous care, each one identical from the outside cream-colored, embossed with the Hayes Consulting logo, sealed with gold wax. Inside, most were letters of appreciation, along with generous bonuses. Recognition for years of service, for exceptional work, for embodying the values our company was built on. Inside Sophia's was a termination letter, professionally written, legally vetted, listing every documented incident of misconduct. Her last paycheck would be direct deposited. Her severance package was more than fair. Her access to company systems would be revoked at midnight. It was clean. It was final. It was the right thing to do. But God, it hurt. The night before the gala, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Marcus, about the little boy who used to sit in my office after school, doing homework while I worked late, about the teenager who'd helped me move into our first real office space, carrying boxes and cracking jokes, about the young man who'd stood beside me at his father's funeral, holding my hand, telling me we'd get through it together. I was about to choose my company over my son's marriage. I was about to create a wound that might never heal. But what choice did I have? Compromise my integrity? Abandon the people who'd built this company alongside me. Let Sophia's toxicity spread until there was nothing left worth saving? I got up at 3 in the morning, made tea, and sat at my kitchen table with a notebook. I wrote, "True power is the ability to be fair, even when fairness costs you everything." Then I went back to bed and slept, finally, dreamlessly. The gala, the venue, was spectacular. A historic hotel ballroom with crystal chandeliers and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Round tables draped in white linen, centerpieces of white roses and greenery. The Hayes Consulting logo projected onto the walls in soft gold light. 200 people in evening wear, sipping champagne, celebrating. The room hummed with conversation and laughter. A string quartet played in the corner. I wore a black dress, simple, elegant, powerful. Richard's watch on my wrist for courage, and in my clutch, the stack of envelopes. Marcus and Sophia arrived together. He looked handsome in his tuxedo, proud to be the founder's son. She looked radiant in a designer gown, diamonds at her throat, playing the role of the beloved daughter-in-law. She air-kissed me, her smile bright and false. "Victoria, this is wonderful. You must be so proud." "I am," I said. 25 years, a lot of hard work. "And I'm so grateful to be part of it," she said, loud enough for nearby people to hear. "Being part of the Hayes family, in business and in life, it's such an honor." Marcus beamed. He had no idea what was coming. Neither did she. Dinner was served. I barely tasted my food, too focused on what lay ahead. Around me, people ate and drank and celebrated. Sophia held court at her table, laughing, gesturing, the center of attention. Finally, it was time for speeches. I stood at the podium, looking out at 200 faces. People who'd believed in me, worked alongside me, helped build something meaningful. And somewhere in that crowd, a woman who'd betrayed every value we held dear. 25 years ago, I began. I started Hayes Consulting with a laptop, $5,000, and a belief that good work, honest dealing, and respect for people would be enough to build something lasting. The room was silent, attentive. I was wrong about one thing. It wasn't enough. It required all of you. Every person in this room contributed to what we've become. Your expertise, your dedication, your integrity. You are Hayes Consulting, not me. Us. Applause. Warm, genuine. Tonight, I want to recognize some of you specifically. I have envelopes here for 15 people who exemplify what this company stands for. When I call your name, please come up. I called them one by one. Sarah, who'd been with me for 20 years. David, whose consulting work was legendary. Tom, who kept our finances running smoothly. Jennifer, whose HR work protected our culture. Each came to the podium. Each received an envelope, a handshake, a moment of public appreciation. Each opened their envelope to find a letter and a bonus check. Some cried. All were touched. The room filled with applause and good feeling. Then I called the final name. Sophia Hayes. She stood, surprised but pleased. She'd been expecting recognition, of course she had. She was family, after all, entitled to special treatment. She walked to the podium in her designer gown, her smile confident, already positioning herself for photographs. I handed her the envelope. It looked identical to all the others. "Thank you for your contributions," I said, the same words I'd said to everyone else. She took it, posed for the photographer, her smile bright and false. "Go ahead and open it," I said quietly. She did, still smiling, expecting praise and money. I watched her face as she read, watched the smile freeze, then crack, watched confusion become comprehension, become shock, become rage. The room had gone silent. Everyone watching, sensing something wrong. Sophia looked up at me, her face pale beneath her makeup. "What is this?" "Exactly what it appears to be," I said calmly. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious." This is my termination letter. Her voice was rising now, shaking. You're firing me? Here? Now? In front of everyone? You've left me no choice, Sophia. Your behavior has been documented extensively. Multiple complaints from colleagues, violations of company policy, failure to improve despite repeated warnings. This isn't personal. It's professional. This is personal, she was shouting now. This is you punishing me because you've never accepted me in this family. You've never thought I was good enough for your son. That's not true. It is true. You've been looking for an excuse to get rid of me since day one, and now you're humiliating me in front of everyone. Marcus was on his feet, moving toward the podium. Mom, what the hell is going on? Marcus, please sit down. This is a business matter. Business? You're firing my wife at a party. How is that business? The room was electric with tension now. 200 people frozen, watching family drama unfold in real time. I took a breath, found my center, spoke with all the authority I'd spent 25 years earning. Sophia, you received the same recognition everyone else did tonight. An envelope, handed to you in front of your peers, acknowledging your contributions. The fact that your envelope contained different contents reflects different circumstances. You weren't singled out for humiliation. You were held to the same standard as everyone else, and you failed to meet it. I've done nothing wrong. You've done everything wrong. You've been rude to colleagues. You've violated attendance policies. You've undermined senior staff. You've used your family connection to avoid accountability. You've created a hostile work environment. That's not true. It's documented. Every incident, every complaint, every warning. You think being family makes you immune to consequences? It doesn't. If anything, it makes you more accountable, not less. She turned to Marcus. Are you going to let her do this to me? Marcus looked between us, torn. I could see the war on his face, loyalty to his wife versus respect for his mother, love versus integrity. Mom, he said finally, there has to be another way. There isn't, I said gently. I've tried everything else. Conversations, warnings, accommodations. Nothing changed. And in the meantime, good people have suffered. Good people have quit. The culture we built is eroding. I won't let that continue, even to protect family harmony. Sophia was crying now, mascara running down her face. You've always hated me. Admit it. This is revenge. This isn't revenge. This is consequence. There's a difference. I turned to address the room, all those watching faces. I apologize for the disruption. This was not how I wanted tonight to end. But Hayes Consulting was built on certain principles: respect, integrity, excellence, and those principles apply to everyone. Family doesn't mean privilege, it means higher standards, not lower ones. Slowly, from the back of the room, someone started clapping. Sarah, my 20-year veteran. Then David joined. Then Jennifer. Then more and more until the room filled with applause. Not everyone. Some looked uncomfortable, some looked shocked, but enough people clapped that the message was clear. This decision, as painful as it was right. Sophia fled the room, Marcus chasing after her. I stood at that podium, alone, and finished my speech. Thank you all for 25 years of excellence. Here's to 25 more. Then I walked off the stage, through the applauding crowd, and out into the night. The aftermath, Marcus didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. Sophia filed a wrongful termination lawsuit. Our legal team demolished it in discovery. The documentation was ironclad. She settled for her severance package and went away. The company stabilized immediately. Morale improved. The people who'd been suffering under Sophia's behavior thanked me privately, told me they'd been ready to quit, that my decision saved their careers. 3 employees who'd left came back. But I lost my son. He called finally, 1 month after the gala. Mom, we need to talk. I've been waiting for you to call. We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. He looked tired, older somehow. Sophia and I are in counseling, he said. Good. That's good. She's struggling. That night, the way you did it, it humiliated her. I know, and I'm sorry for that. But Marcus, I couldn't let her behavior continue. People were suffering. You could have done it privately. I tried private conversations. They didn't work. She needed to understand that family connection doesn't exempt anyone from accountability, that actions have consequences. He was quiet for a long time. The therapist asked me to look at something. She asked if Sophia treated me the way she treated your employees. And the truth is, she did. She does. I just didn't want to see it. My heart ached for him. I'm sorry, sweetheart. No, you were right. About her behavior, about the business, about everything. She's been taking advantage of her position, of your tolerance, of my loyalty. And I enabled it because I didn't want to admit I'd married someone who... He stopped. Who what? Who isn't the person I thought she was? Or maybe she is, and I just didn't want to see it. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. We're working on it. But Mom, I owe you an apology. You were protecting your company, your employees, your integrity. And I made it about me. About my feelings, my marriage. I didn't think about all the people who were hurt by Sophia's behavior. I just thought about protecting my wife. You were being loyal. That's not a bad thing. It is when loyalty enables cruelty. We sat there together, father's son and founder's son, trying to navigate the wreckage. Can we come back from this? Marcus asked. We're family, I said. We can come back from anything. It just takes work. And Sophia? That's between you and her. But Marcus, she's not welcome back at Hayes Consulting. That decision is final. He nodded. I understand. 6 months later, Marcus and Sophia separated in August. He moved into his own apartment, told me they were taking time apart to figure things out. I didn't ask for details. That was his journey, not mine. He started coming to Sunday dinners again. Slowly, carefully, we rebuilt what had been broken. It wasn't the same as before. There was a wariness now, a recognition that family love doesn't mean blind loyalty. But it was real. And real was better than perfect. The company thrived. We hired 3 new consultants, all excellent. We updated our employee handbook to include clearer policies about family members in the business. We reinforced our culture of respect and accountability. And 6 months to the day after the gala, I received a letter. It was from Emma, the junior analyst who'd quit because of Sophia's bullying. Dear Victoria, I wanted to write and tell you that I'm coming back to Hayes Consulting. When Jennifer called to tell me about the opening, I almost said no. The memories of my last months there were too painful. But then she told me what happened at the gala. How you stood up in front of everyone and chose integrity over family politics. How you held someone accountable, even though it cost you. That changed everything for me. It reminded me why I loved working at Hayes in the first place. Because you built a company where doing the right thing matters more than protecting the powerful. I'll see you Monday. With gratitude, Emma. I cried reading that letter, not from sadness, but from relief, from knowing that the hardest decision I'd ever made had been the right one. That evening, I took out my journal, the one Richard had given me years ago, telling me that powerful people need to reflect on their power. I wrote, True power isn't about control. It's about choosing fairness when fairness costs you everything. It's about integrity when integrity is inconvenient. It's about doing what's right, even when what's right breaks your heart. Tonight, 6 months after the hardest night of my professional life, I received validation that I made the right choice. Not because it was easy, not because it was painless, but because it was just. Family doesn't mean privilege, it means responsibility. It means being held to a higher standard, not a lower one. And when someone fails to meet that standard, consequences must follow. I gave Sophia every chance, every warning, every conversation, every opportunity to change. She chose not to take them. She chose to believe that family connection would protect her from accountability. She was wrong. And though it cost me months of pain and nearly cost me my relationship with my son, I would make the same choice again. Because the alternative letting cruelty flourish, letting good people suffer, letting my company's culture erode, That would have cost me something far more valuable than family harmony. It would have cost me my integrity. And that I will never compromise. Not for anyone. I closed the journal and looked around my office, the photo of Richard still on my credenza. The awards on the wall, the view of the city through the windows, 25 years of work, 25 years of building something meaningful. And one night, when I proved that what we built was worth protecting, even from family, I turned off the lights and went home. The right choice isn't always the easy one, but it's always, always worth it.